Today, we're checking out this SpeedForm Dark Horse style rear spoiler in matte black for the 2024 and newer Mustang Fastbacks. If you're looking to give your Mustang a more aggressive track-inspired rear end with a clean style and a solid build, then this spoiler is definitely worth looking into. This spoiler brings the aggressive Dark Horse look with a raised wing profile with the sporty silhouette that stands out from the stock spoilers. This matte black finish is going to give you a stealthy, performance-ready aesthetic that pairs really well with any other black trim or accents you might have on the car. Designed specifically for the Fastback, it uses factory CAD data for the perfect alignment and fit. On the street, the wider wing profile helps with the visual stance and also offers some improved rear airflow stability at speed when compared to more subtle OE spoilers. It's less about that full race wing downforce and more about that performance car feel that catches your eye at the end of the day, but it will give you a little bit of performance boost at the end. The spoiler is made from ABS plastic, which is strong, impact resistant, and lightweight, making it a good choice for both daily driving and some track use also. It's pre-finished with this nice matte black, so it's ready to install without needing to prep or paint or anything unless you want a custom color like a body match or an accent color of any kind. Now, as far as the pricing goes on this, it's coming in right in the $200 price range. It's very reasonable when you consider that you're getting a vehicle-specific body piece with upgraded aerodynamics and style at the same time. When it comes to the install on this one, it's going to get rated a 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, and you can get this job done in about 2 hours of your time. So let's head on out to the shop, and we're going to give you a detailed walkthrough of exactly how this install process goes.
Tools required for this install include a ratchet, Phillips head screwdriver, clip remover tool, plastic pry tool, 10mm ratcheting wrench, an extension, T15 torque socket, 7 and 10mm sockets. Today we're installing a spoiler on our Mustang, so let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is pop our trunk and remove this carpet panel. We've got a bunch of push clips holding it in. We've got these rubber plugs that we're just going to twist out like a screw, and we need to pop off our little cover panel. So I'm taking a clip remover tool to just get behind this one. And I'll pop out all these clips. And then we're just going to unscrew these. Feed your release tab out and then remove it. So now I'm going to be removing our spoiler as well as our deck lid panel. So I'm going to start with these 2 holes. You've got the same thing on the other side as well. You got a nut behind each of these. So take a 10mm socket and remove those. And just be careful not to drop them. Do that same thing on the other side. Now I'm going to come to the outside. I'm going to pull off this rubber plug, and that's going to reveal a 10mm bolt. Grab a 10mm socket and remove it. And once again, be careful not to drop it. You can angle the trunk down if you need to get a better angle. And then while we're over here, I'm going to switch to a 7mm socket to remove these 2 screws. Do that same thing on the other side. And now the last thing holding in our spoiler is this nut right in the center. So grab a 10mm socket to remove that. Get a hand on your spoiler on the other side so you don't drop it. And then we can fold down our trunk and remove our spoiler. So now from the factory, you're gonna have some double-sided tape on here. Our spoiler's been on and off a bunch of times, so our tape doesn't do too much anymore. But if this is your first time taking it off, you can get a plastic pry tool. Just start from the ends, work your way across, lifting it up, and then remove it. Now for our deck lid panel, we've got a couple clips on each side, and then just those bolts that are going inside the trunk. So we need to kind of pull this away from the car. So I'm just gonna take a plastic pry tool, get in there to lift it up, pop that out, And then we're gonna have to disconnect our backup camera. So you can take that same plastic pry tool or clip remover tool to get underneath those clips and pop them out. And then we're gonna press in on this brown tab on the connector and pop that off. So now I've got our deck lid panel. We're gonna have to remove this whole black inner plastic so that we can mount our spoiler to our deck lid. So I've got a T15 torque socket. I'm gonna take out the two in the middle for the camera first. You can slide that out of there. Pop your camera out. And then we'll get the rest of them. There should be one right here that we're missing. There should also be one right here that we're missing. And then we've got the last one over here. And then you can do the same thing on the other side and we'll pop this out. And now we just need to pop this out. So now we're ready to start assembling our new spoiler. Now for this center section, I would highly recommend a magnetic screwdriver. You've got to go through these holes on the top, all the way down through the holes on the bottom into these rib nuts. And without a magnetic screwdriver, it's going to be very difficult for you. Now you can use a 10mm socket and put a piece of tape around the lip of the bolt and the socket to hold it, but I find the magnetic screwdriver is definitely the way to go here. So I'm going to start with the center piece. Now this can only go on one way. It's not going to fit or line up the opposite way. So lay that in, get that bolt onto the magnetic screwdriver, fish that down into place and start threading it in. And I'm just going to get all of these in before I start tightening down any of them. And now I'll fully tighten all of those down. And now we'll get our side pieces. Now both the wing and this piece are stamped with an L or an R for left or right, so just match those up. And once you have all three of them threading, you can go ahead and tighten it down. Then do that same thing on the other side. So now with our deck lid disassembled, we're ready to install that onto our spoiler. So I'm just gonna raise it up, kind of line up our holes. We've got 3 holes in the middle. We're gonna install these 2 holes on the side. We're not gonna do the big holes yet. So I'm gonna take bolts and flat washers to thread into all of those holes. So now for tightening those down, I'm going to start on the corner. Now we have this spacer that's going to fill up this big circle hole. So I'm going to drop that in. We want to slide this back and forth until that threaded hole is right in the center of that spacer. And then take a 10mm ratcheting wrench to tighten it down. And now with that perfectly centered, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and then we'll tighten down our center bolts. And now we'll come back to the middle and tighten down our last 3 bolts. Next we can reinstall our inner plastic piece. Slide it in and get it lined up and pressed into place. And then we're going to take our camera. We're going to drop that into place, followed by our bracket. And then I'm going to thread in my 2 bolts. And then I'm just going to go along the piece installing the rest of my bolts. I'm going to use my T15 torque socket to thread those in. And then remember, we're missing a couple here, but they're in the same spots as the ones on the other side. Throw your ratchet on the other side and tighten those all down. Now for that spacer that goes inside the hole, there's nothing that's actually holding that in there, and we are gonna have to flip the spoiler upside down for when we mount it to the trunk. So I'm just gonna take a small piece of double-sided tape. I'll just get it to the side of the bolt hole so it doesn't block it. Now you don't need a ton here, this is just to hold it on so it doesn't fall out while we install it. And then just line that up with your hole. Press it down. Do the same thing on the other side, and then we'll mount this up to the trunk. So now I'm going to start by plugging in my camera. So connect that connector, and then we just need to push those 2 clips into place. And then we're just going to line up all those studs with our holes and just push this into place. So now we're just going to thread on those nuts. We got 1 in the middle and then 2 in these holes on each side. So I'm just taking a 10mm socket and extension to thread all these on. Now for the 2 side holes, I look through this top one to kind of see what I'm doing. And I'll throw my ratchet on the other side and tighten all of those down. Now on the outside hole, through this hole right here, I'm going to install our factory bolt. Just be careful with that while you're feeding it in. And I'll tighten it down with that 10mm socket. And then we can put our plug back in. And then thread in your 2 smaller screws. And take a 7mm socket, tighten it down. Repeat that process on the other side. And then to wrap things up, we'll reinstall our trunk liner. So put that release cable through that hole first. And then I'm gonna get my rubber plugs here and thread those in to hold this up at the top. Pop your latch cover back on. And then reinstall all of your push clips. So that'll wrap up this review and install of the SpeedForm Dark Horse style rear spoiler in matte black for your 2024 and newer Mustang Fastback. Thank you for watching, and for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.